Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, wherever in the world you may be joining us from today. My name is Francesco Del Carpio, and I am the CFL York Operations Coordinator. I would like to officially open the first session in our Mine Action, Innovation, Sustainability, and Global Partnerships speaker series, presented in partnership with the Advanced Disaster and Emergency Rapid Response Simulation Lab, Subsphere Corporation, and AVO Tracks. I would like to begin today with a land acknowledgement. We acknowledge and recognize that many Indigenous nations have long-standing relationships with the territory upon which our campuses are located that precede the establishment of York University. The area is known as Takaranto and has been caretaken by the Anishinaabe Nation, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and the Huron-Wendat. It is now home to many First Nation, Inuit, and Métis communities. We acknowledge the current treaty holders, the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. The territory is subject to the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant, an agreement to peaceably share and care for the Great Lakes region. As this is an online event, our participants may be joining from various locations, so I strongly encourage you to learn about the traditional land upon which you are located. With this, I welcome our moderators, our speakers, and our participants from around the world. Welcome to our webinar. It is now my great pleasure to introduce our moderators today, Shahab Moini and Michel Arif. Shahab is a director and chief strategy officer at Subsphere Corporation, bringing over 15 years of experience in business development and strategic planning. He has a strong background in leading cross-functional teams and driving growth initiatives. He is passionate about creating value through innovative strategies. Michel Arif is an R&D coordinator at Subsphere Corporation with a strong track record in project management and the strategic application of emerging technologies for disaster risk reduction. She holds a master's degree in disaster and emergency management and has a robust background in applied geospatial technologies and climate science. Shahab and Michel, thank you very much for moderating today's session and your ongoing help in putting together this series. The floor is yours, Michel.
Thank you so much, Francesco, for that warm introduction. And Shahab, feel free to jump in at any time. But I'd like to welcome you all to our first session of the Humanitarian Demining series. We're starting off strong with our first two speakers who will touch on the challenges and enablers of mine action innovation system and more. To introduce, first we have Pedro Basto who joined the GICHD in May of 2023 and holds the position of Program Manager, Research and Innovation. In this role, he provides direction to the Research and Innovation Program and the rest of the GICHD, focusing on leading and coordinating research and innovation-related initiatives and so on, and on methods that improve the delivery of explosive ordnance risk reduction operations. Prior to joining the GICHD, Pedro worked in the Portuguese Armed Forces for 22 years as Army Military Engineer, EOD and CIED expert in the European Defence Agency as a project manager for capability development and research projects. His work has taken him to a number of countries in Europe, Africa, and all over the Middle East. Pedro also has a master's degree in military engineering from the Portuguese Army Military Academy in Chartered Civil Engineering, and he's a certified Chief Innovation Officer and project management professional. And that's a lot, but next we also have Miodrag Milenković, who is a senior advisor for training, organization, and mine action coordination at the Mine Action Center of the Republic of Serbia. He holds a master's degree in economics with a specialization in finance, banking, and insurance. Since joining the center in 2020, he has been actively engaged in all aspects of mine action, including project development, quality control, and training. He is engaged in all aspects of mine action, including project development, quality control, and training. He's also part of the SMAC team for instructors delivering education on the dangers of explosive remnants of war. Mickey holds a EOD Level 1 and Level 2 qualifications and has completed numerous domestic and international trainings in mine action. Before we begin, just a quick note, the Zoom chat box is open for communal dialogue, so feel free to connect and comment and share your thoughts as we go. The Q&A box specifically is open for questions, so if you have any questions for the speakers at any time, feel free to pop those in there, and then we'll probably get to them at the end of the discussion, at the end of the presentation. So with that, Shahab, if you want to say a quick hello, and then we can welcome Pedro and Mickey.
It's all good. I will leave the ground to Pedro and Mickey to start. Thanks a lot, Mickey.
Thank you. Can I take the floor? Thank you and good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank you to York University, especially to Professor Ali Asghari and to you, Shabab. Of course, to you, Francesco and Michelle, for this kind introduction. And of course, thank you for possibility and to speak here and to present the scope of work and what we actually do within the ITG. Let me just share the screen. I hope everyone can see it. So first question we have is why we focus on innovation. And here we don't have a single and unique answer. So the environments in which mine action operates are becoming increasingly complex, as we witness today, unfortunately. Contamination is often widespread, unpredictable, and in some cases deliberately concealed. At the same time, we have funding that is very limited. We have operational costs that are rising, and affected communities on the other side expect much faster and safer results. When we speak about challenges in mine action, as you can see on these slides, the challenges are numerous. So starting from funding to lack of coordination to time to fear of change, maybe to resistance of change, all the way to lack of uniform legal and regulatory framework. As I said, challenges are numerous. And unfortunately, that's why a lot of great, potentially good innovation are today just idea on a paper that sits somewhere in a drawer and will probably never go live, as if I can say like that. So from the position of national mine action authority, I can say that one of the most pressing challenges is also complexity of contamination. So every country faces different contamination problem, and unfortunately, we cannot have a unique single solution that will be applicable to all countries. For example, in Serbia, we don't have classical minefields. We have random nuisance minefields. So we would find one or two mines here, then hundreds of meters or even kilometers, we would not find anything. That's why we cannot apply classical traditional methods to find mines. Rather, we must find some innovative ways, let's say, to solve our problems. Of course, we are also facing problem with fundings. The most recent example is that we last year we organized a challenge cup in which we included high school students to, let's say, to deal with innovation within mine action. So we actually had a great results. We got 2 magnetometers and 1 robotic vehicle with manipulative hand. And the vehicle can be operated from even hundreds of kilometers away from vehicle. But unfortunately, those products, if I can call them like that, remain just prototypes because of investors. Investors are just shifting their perspectives, so they remain just prototype, as I said. So we witness that we have many innovative ideas that are developed within organization by field operators, by researchers, all local partners. However, without some dedicated platform or space, ideas unfortunately remain isolated. So knowledge is not shared widely. Either we have similar efforts or tries that are being duplicated, and promising concepts just remain on paper without testing and visibility. So for that reason, within GICHD, they came idea, let's say, they realize that we need a space to exchange ideas more openly. We also need mechanisms to evaluate and test new approaches. And of course, we need some sort of coordination to ensure that good ideas move from concepts to implementations. So that's where Innovation Hub comes in place. I'll try to explain you in a few words what Innovation Hub is. It's let's say, collaborative space of steering board and technical group or groups. They are bringing together diverse stakeholders together to explore new methods and technologies in mine action. Innovation Hub is also known as innovation accelerators, incubators, boosters, or whatever. But the idea is same, to bring multiple stakeholders to one place. I think, and Pedro, correct me if I'm wrong, Innovation Hub is launched in 2024 within GICHD. And as I said, currently it plays a central role in this vision to provide a platform for knowledge sharing, for connecting academics, tech experts, practitioners, to collaborate on a practical solution based on a concrete needs. What is the goal of, let's say, of Innovation Hub? It's to ensure that ideas don't stay just ideas on a paper, but to translate them into real world impact for a safer communities and more effective operation. And that is, if I can say, the promise of the Mine Action Innovation Hub. To be a new platform to turn real world challenges into practical and tested solutions. Let me just get back to, sorry. So we have two key components of Innovation Hub. It's a strategic steering board. I don't know why you don't see the slide. Never mind. So it's a strategic steering board. Its strategic steering board sets the big picture vision. So they are identifying priorities and enabling global partnerships. Currently, strategic steering board is chaired by GICHD director and ambassador Tobias Privatelli. And the board is made up of rotating members from across the Mine Action Center, but even beyond the Mine Action sector. On the other side, we have Innovation Technical Group, which is, let's say, operational arm of the Innovation Hub, and it takes priorities identified and defined by Strategic Steering Board forward. We are identifying, if I can say, specific challenges. We are evaluating emerging technologies, reviewing frameworks, and ensuring coordination at all levels. So what's important to say here, ITG, we have, it's an open community, and of course you're all welcome to join. We have several annual meetings online, and we try to have one or two in-person meetings per year. So we try to gather experts and stakeholders to come together, to exchange experience, to present ongoing initiatives, and to discuss emerging challenges in innovation. The way we meet is that meetings provide a structured platform to review new ideas, to identify operational needs, and explore opportunities for collaboration. So let me just move to a new slide. Here we have guiding principles. As you can see, evidence-based approach, network collaboration, inclusiveness, and beyond technology. I try to shorten as much as I can so we have more time for question and answer. That is everything by my side. Thank you. If I miss something or forget, Pedro will fill me in.
Thank you. Thank you, Mickey, and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all participants for joining, and I see a good, really great attendance figures. Shahab and Michelle didn't say it in the beginning, but I can put it now as well, that the reason Miodrag and I are briefing here is because we have been collegially selected to be the two co-chairs of the Innovation Technical Group of the Innovation Hub, making also the liaison with the Strategic Steering Board. This has been a great partnership, so thank you very much, Mickey, for your introduction to the Hub, which I think you've covered very well. I'll take over this introduction and to cover a little bit what we've achieved so far since we've created this platform, and a little bit of the showing as well a little bit of what we have as already a good knowledge base that it's hosted in the GICHD webpage on our activities and some of our work, and I'll cover as well what some of the things that are about to come next, listing our main challenges to address. So I'll guide us through a little bit of those 5 key challenges that Mickey highlighted, those 5 key challenges that mark the assessment we've done into the MineAction innovation system to understand why there is so much talk about innovation and so little impact. So that has been our mission, to look into in 2023. So there's a lot of talk about innovation. There's drones coming from here. There's digital apps for URE. There's a lot of things coming, but the impact seems to be very limited. We keep talking about these great ideas, and we talk and we present and we do another conference, but things don't move. So what is missing? And we came up with these five challenges, and the Innovation Hub was one of the answers to try to plug some of those challenges and try to fix them. And to some extent, I think we are succeeding. We haven't made things perfect because we are not a silver bullet to all of those problems, and they are many of them are quite complex, and the challenges of the sector are complex themselves. But I think we've moved already some needles on the insufficient or on the need for greater focus on needs-based approaches. And to get us started, we have adopted an approach where innovation needs to start with a need or a problem worth solving. And this is not something that's unique to MineAction, but that sometimes is forgotten when we see technology driving innovation rather than the problems that are faced in everyday work by MineAction operators and national authorities. So we've moved the needle to try to frame all innovation work on problems that need to be solved. And this has been trying to achieve this through the elaboration of research agendas, and we've been mapping and collecting information for this. All our activities are based on this principle. What are the problems we're trying to solve? Then we can look into what solutions could potentially solve them, never the other way around. I'll come back to the research agenda and the main points that it lists. We're finalizing it, and it should be published within the next 2 months, hopefully by mid-April. During 2026, we will also be working, as Mickey mentioned, on through the ITG, the Innovation Technical Group meetings, working to further draft more concretely specific case studies. I mean, Miki provided a good example of nuisance minefields. Okay, that is a very concrete context, should be characterized, defined. What are the concrete challenges? If we have a catalog of concrete challenges in context, we can then mobilize these problem statements to look for technological, methodological, or other approaches to solve this problem. In terms of coordination and collaboration, it's very much the nature of the Innovation Hub to bring people to the same table, bring operators, national authorities, technologists, international organizations within the sector and beyond the sector to talk at the same table, share their problems, criticize solutions that are not realistic, guide them into the right path. We have achieved some successes with numerous initiatives being coordinated through the Innovation Technical Group. One Horizon Europe Consortium proposal or project proposal has been established within the Innovation Technical Group. There is an upcoming technology challenge by partners from the United States, Mindsight Tech, on excavation of signals and robotization that was coordinated, emerging from discussions within the Innovation Technical Group, and that will be launched soon. We've seen recent UNDP underwater related challenge that comes after some work done within originating in ITG, and that will now have an evaluation panel that will be composed of members of the ITG as well. There are other initiatives and will not be exhaustive. In terms of legal and regulatory frameworks, which is another challenge, and especially in terms of test and evaluation protocols, a lot of times we have been working internally, and there's a technical subgroup that is working to develop initial proposals for a test and evaluation protocol for UAV based sensors. We see a lot of those technologies trying to be fielded, but without having clear standard ways of testing and evaluating their capacities, it's very difficult to further develop them in the right direction and to create the mechanisms to accredit them and make them usable in field operations largely to deliver the impact that we hope they can deliver. Recent changes introduced into IMAS, the International Mine Action Standard 711 on land release that has been approved late in 2025, have also provided a critical example of how these discussions inform the standards and introduce changes that enable these innovations to be, or these new tools or new approaches to be fielded, further promoting this good practice. Resistance to change is something that we try to address through educating and sharing and building trust among the partners and bringing the users to the front and bringing the users to share their needs and to have the users testing and telling what works and what doesn't work. I think this is one of the ways, but resistance to change is also part of our human nature, and we know it will always be there to some extent. And lastly, on the limited funding, maybe one of the points where we have tried to work, but there's still much more work to do in terms of creating a systematic structure, systematic pipeline, or a funding stack that can be used for mine action innovation, from concept to prototyping to testing and evaluation and to scaling. Different phases of the pipeline in innovation require different types of funding, different levels of funding, and this is something that we don't have in a structured manner. We still have a very discretionary and a random way of operating. This is something that we hope that our research agendas will help in a way improve, but we still think there's more room to work. However, there's still good examples. The fact that the European Commission has launched an Horizon Europe call for mine action in 2025 originates largely by advocacy made through the innovation through GICHD, but built around the concept of the innovation hub and the importance that these wider research and innovation initiatives that are not mine action focused, but that can and should put more funding into mine action has worked. We've developed a few activities that generated new streams of funding that were not part of the mine action sector. So that's also quite an important part of our understanding that the funding stack for innovation in mine action cannot come from the already limited funding existing for operations. It must come from other places, and that's where we try to look into the technology side, into the venture capital, into investors, into innovation funds from national countries or multinational bodies, such as the EU in this example. This is what we've achieved so far. We've done this through a number of activities, and I'd like to share my screen just to give you an overview of the number of resources that through our activities we've conducted and how we've published this information. So if you can find that GICHD innovation page, it's in gichd.org, our impact, our response, and you have GICHD innovation, and here we can you have access to all our recent and upcoming events will be listed here as well. For example, in 2024, in October 2024, we've organized an innovation session, very much an ideation session or hackathon around applications, artificial intelligence applications for mine action, which all contents, both briefs and presentations, both from mine action and from AI experts are here and recorded and available. And after that event, we've developed 9 project ideas that can be taken by anyone in the within or outside the sector to advance a mine action. Each of these ideas is listed here with a one-pager project brief that explains the problem statement, key factors, requirements, possible response, and how this can be implemented. We have managed to draw the attention for the top activity, the reference database for automated imagery recognition for explosive ordnance, which is a project that GICHD is working at the moment with other partners. This is an example of how we've tried to make our events valuable, also to mobilize funding for innovation. In 2025, we've launched an innovation award focusing on risk management, deliberately trying to, as Miki mentioned, to go beyond technology, that innovation is not just technology, is also methodologies and how we look into areas such as quality management or risk management. All the work that, or the selected work that was submitted for the award, other than just the 2 winners, is also here. So problem statements that have been submitted and proposals that have been submitted are presented in the and available. Anyone can come and see and explore these ideas further from the submissions. So this is a knowledge base that we're also creating. The award was decided based on an independent panel composed by members of the Innovation Technical Group that volunteered to analyze the submissions and agree on the awardees. So this is not, again, this is the community working and evaluating the ideas, not GICHD per se. Lastly, in 2025, we've conducted our innovation conference, big event. I'll go through some of the elements of its report because I believe it's a really great point to start looking at. It gives a great snapshot of where we stand right now with most of the challenges and most of the state of the art of the solutions. But I would like to highlight as well that not just we have a small report, but we also have most of the content presented at the conference available with presentations in PDF format in the various sections of the event. So for each session, there will be PDF with content of what was presented and contacts, etc. So this is the knowledge base. And finally, our report, which I would just wanted to highlight some facts and figures and how we put the focus not just on bringing voices from the field, with more than a third of the participants coming from explosive ordnance affected countries, either from operations or national authorities, how we try to bring speakers and the voices from national mine action authorities to have a voice and to discuss the work and the needs. And the fact that we also make a really strong effort to go beyond our comfort zone. And you see here more than 100, so another third, around a third of the participants always also brought from outside of the mine action sector, that we can experience and learn from what is done outside of the sector, and also draw the attention of resources that are outside of the sector to the problems we need to solve. As I've said, the report goes through an update on the innovation challenges, a little bit of what I've shared with you in terms of the work of the Innovation Hub, and it goes then on into explaining in a very summarized manner key challenges for funding innovation in the sector, including aspects linked with intellectual property right, human-centered innovation covering victim assistance, explosive ordnance risk education, land release challenges, use of drones, use of robotics, use of excavation tools, target discrimination, operational efficiency, and ammunition management and underwater explosive ordnance. Lastly, I'd like to go back to the land release research agenda, which is, as I've mentioned, one of the really important tools at the center of the innovation technical group. Research agenda is designed as a collection of key problem statements, prioritize the most important problem statements to be addressed within the sector. It is high level. It is a 10 to 15 page document that describes this, as well as what's been done so far. And it is intended to reach a target audience mostly outside of the mine action sector, researchers, academics, technologists that can look into these particular problems and think and mobilize resources to investigate them and come up with improved or better solutions. As I've said, this research agenda is about to come out, and the five most important problems to solve in the sector are: first, detection. The main method of finding explosive ordnance is still a metal detector, and in average, metal detector finds 80 signs of metal for each actual landmine or explosive ordnance. So this gives an idea of the challenges on how much time is taken into this process, 80 to 1. There are cases where this can be reduced, but reducing this further is one of the key priorities for efficiency in land release. Second is location or survey, and the ability to define the perimeters where there is, or outside of which there is no evidence of existing risks and explosive ordnance. How can we reduce the areas where we need to go and clear method in a very methodological manner? Third is excavation of finds. So for every one of these 80 finds that are not explosive ordnance, or for every 79 finds that are not an explosive ordnance item, a deminer needs to excavate the terrain to confirm what the signal is about. So this means 79 excavations, slow, careful, and dangerous, because it cannot be excluded that it is an explosive ordnance. This is a very slow process, and it's also the part of the process which has greater risks for the deminer. It is the moment where the deminer is at a closer range to an item of explosive ordnance, and that's where the accidents occur most often, and also where the accidents that occur have the greater impacts or the greatest damage. So that's where the risk is high. Moving away from a human excavation in some cases is what we would seek. Disposal of explosive ordnance is the fourth. There are when high amounts of explosives ordnance, and more concretely in the cases of battle area clearance, when these are removed from the field and need to be disposed of in bulk, bulk destruction or mass destruction of explosive ordnance is still one of the most challenges and risky tasks conducted, that have numerous logistic limitations in various phases, and that also have strong environmental impacts, both through the through burning gases produced, contamination of soils, spreading of further metal contamination because of the fragments that are spread around in these areas. So disposal is something we would like to improve. And lastly, priority setting. Being able to developing the methods, the tools to be able to better allocate resources from the perspective of national mine action authorities, but also from the perspective of operators, where to go first to get the greater impact, rather than where to go first to get more mines out of the ground. This is something that still requires further work. And I'll stop here because I've already talked a lot, and hand it over back to our moderators. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Pedro and Mickey, for information, which is very important when you highlighted that what's the reality in the minefield and what's the solution coming into the minefield. As we have seen, many groups come to the field and they think they have a solution. It's a golden kind of solution. They come, but it's not practical. So a question I have here before we go to the question that the others posted, this innovation group, are you looking at the kind of testing validation process as well? Because there's a lot of academic groups coming down with a solution, but they haven't seen the reality of the field. So is it part of the IGT group to work on that one and build up this collaboration to make sure the validation standard from both technical and ethical part are there?
Pedro, you will explain that better then.
Shahab, can you? I'm not sure if I understood the question completely. Could you?
So I mentioned that there are a lot of groups coming out with the solution. This is, and we have seen it all over the places. And so is the innovation group setting up this testing validation of these technologies, not just technical part, but kind of the ethical part as well, because we have a lot of marketing of the solutions, which has not been even tested.
Yeah. So I think there are two dimensions there. The ethical part is something that I would say we try to work through the technical part. We know and we acknowledge that and the other element is the technical part, of course. We acknowledge that innovation and the innovation system is composed of these multiple stakeholders and all the building blocks. All of them, not all of them have the same objectives. And that's when we find the common ground that we can actually achieve success. We understand that a startup that is trying to sell a product and make a living out of that will try to pitch and sell their thing as a great thing. And it's natural for them to do this. We need to understand it. And that's not bad in itself, as long as we can provide the means to say, okay, you are presenting something that seems very interesting. Let's bring it to a field and test it according to a systematic way, so that we can also give you the right feedback to say, look, your tool needs to go in this direction if you want to make it useful in this sector, or then you should look for applications in another place. So this part of the testing and evaluation is really important. It's something that we are still working at the level of defining what we believe are the test and evaluation standards for some of these technologies. So international mine action standards only have concrete test protocols for mechanical assets and for handheld metal detectors. We need more of these standards for new technologies, new applications. One part is defining the protocols to test them. The other part, and that is the most critical one, is creating the infrastructure to have these tests in a systematic manner, and to have the funding to bring these things to be tested. So that is something that we haven't squared that circle completely, but it's something that we're looking at with very open eyes, and we understand this is a very important part. There's one last element, which is how operators and national authorities need also to develop their capacities to understand the process of innovation, that if there is a new tool, that it must, and it could be applicable in a specific place, even if it's not proven or hard proven, battle proven, it didn't go through all the tests. But if it can be useful in a specific place, that there are ways to test it in the specific context. Test it not just from a standard manner to say, well, it can perform to this standard, but also test it in the context. I think that a machine that is tested in a test field in Croatia to a certain standard will do. We know it does this much coming out of the factory in controlled conditions. But the context we have in the field is not controlled conditions. It's different. Terrain is different. Inclination is different. Moisture, weather, all of that is going to be different. So these things need to be retested in the field for the specific conditions to measure how fast the machine should go, how much deep should it be, the tool should be working, what is the result in that specific area, and this is important to be documented. This is maybe even more important than the actual tests out of the factory, because these are the ones that deliver impact in the concrete case. And in the same country, different places might require their own test for the application of specific tools. So this is also a bit of enhancing the capacity from some of the national mine action authorities to understand that within the standards, we need to find ways of being agile enough to adopt solutions that solve our problems, and that we don't get stuck into very squared solutions.
Thanks a lot, Pedro. So, Michel, there are a couple of questions and comments on the chat and the Q&A question. You want to go through them?
Perfect. Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah, there are a few questions, and I'd like to remind everyone, if you still have questions, feel free to pop them in the chat. The resources that were shared by Pedro are very, very interesting. So again, if you have any further questions, feel free to go on the website, look through the past projects, the publications, the conference report, etc. So there's a lot of good information over there. The first question comes from Mark Deller, and he has a follow-up question. So maybe either person can explain this. The question was, what group or groups are accountable to fix this problem? Are they involved as stakeholders, or are they going to fund these projects? And the follow-up question was, is the UN involved? They probably should be. So maybe you can explain how the GICHD fits into the UN, maybe as an organizational structure, just to give us an overview of how we're actually where we are.
Miki, I can cover from GICC, but Miki, you want to cover the representation of UN at the Innovation Hub?
The representation of UN in the Innovation Hub. So the UN, if I'm not mistaken, serves as one of the members of the Strategic Steering Board. So they are, of course, involved in work of Innovation Hub and in ITG. By, as I said, giving a broad overview and vision of the where we should go.
Yes, exactly. So the system of the United Nations is extremely important for the sector of mine action globally. GICHD is not part of the UN system. Is a Swiss foundation that provides support specifically to national mine action authorities, but across the board to the mine action sector in a number of fields. The Strategic Steering Board is composed by 12 members, and it's representative of the sector overall. United Nations Mine Action Service is part of the Strategic Steering Board, and is also part of the Innovation Technical Group. But UNDP is also part of the Innovation Technical Group, UNOPS, and UNICEF on what concerns risk education is also often involved, and we believe very much in the importance of collaborating with all UN bodies that are relevant for mine action. Maybe on the other question linked to how these groups are accountable to fix this problem, and yes, this is a community that is engaged with these objectives, that brings new ideas and new problem statements and discussions. Half of the innovation conference discussions come either from stakeholders that are involved in the ITG or that bring ideas to the ITG. There's almost not a single day where we don't receive someone with a proposal or something that is worth sharing, or looking for a partner to seek for funding. But we are not an innovation fund. We don't have access to an innovation fund from mine action, at least at the moment. We would very much like to be in that position in the future, but that we're not yet there. So the funding of these initiatives is still a responsibility that each stakeholder will have to try to find, and GICHD through our network and all the stakeholders in the ITG through their networks will for sure support. This is something we are still working on.
Great, thank you. This next question is for Miodrag. It's a specific one. David would like to know if you were seeing any interference from the vehicle on the magnometer. Can you advise what brand magnometer you were using?
Yeah, on the vehicle I mentioned, we don't have integrated magnetometer. It actually serves as a tool with a robotic hand to come close to a suspicious item or object, to move it, to push it, or to escalate some signal. So on a vehicle itself, we do not have a magnetometer. Regarding your second question, I'm not sure whether I can speak about specific brand of magnetometers we use, but I can say that we use it, let's say, broadly available magnetometers. We're using both active and passive systems. So we always use a combination of those two systems to check one another and to get the best results of what's in land. So we are using both systems. But if you want, I can share specific brands via email or some private channels, let's say.
There were some comments that are specifically to you guys. There was one person, Natalie, saying that the Sheriff's Demining Training Center is ready to participate as a partner. So if you have specific questions like that, we'll share their email addresses and you can feel free to email them directly with those. So right now we'll just go through the questions. We have one from, I'll go
Henrik about the land release. I think that would be the next one.
oh,
Yeah, so Henrik asks about where is the lowest hanging fruit to improving the operational efficiency in the land release.
Pedro, if you're okay, I can try to explain by the perspective of Serbia.
Of course.
The lowest hanging fruit, it's maybe from our side, from my perspective, and from perspective of Serbia, is better governance and operational management, and not new technology. So in most land release programs, inefficiency usually comes from clearing the land that did not needed to be cleared, or from weak non-technical survey, or from poor task prioritization. But improving how decisions are made, especially strengthening evidence-based cancellation and reduction, can often increase productivity without, let's say, buying new equipment or using new technology. So technology can help, but it usually delivers real gains only after governance and management are already strong. So in simple terms, in Serbia, we try to stop doing unnecessary work, and we try to organize and prioritize better, and to use technology to speed up when what truly needs to be done. So that's in short, but.
Thanks a lot. And Robert Kelly, we all know Robert mentioned about the IMS as one of the main problem, kind of, or the procedure that IMS has. Any comment on that one?
Well, I will come in defense of IMAS to an extent, but we acknowledge that there are still aspects, especially as regards to the adoption and this agility of using innovation in the sector, and the test and evaluation part that needs to be further increased and improved. Sometimes it's not necessarily just the standards, it's also the understanding and their application. And this is something that is not unique to international mine action standards. Any standards body, and standards need to be flexible and broad to be applicable to the most of the situations. But then it's quite common that we developed as well technical notes on the application of these standards and how they can, where we can have more concrete, detailed guidance. I think we've had, or mine action has an history where the international mine action standards proved to be a very, very strong tool harmonizing and improving the quality of the work done globally, and also supporting the development of the national standards required to frame the work of mine action in specific contexts. During the 90s and early 2000s, there was a very strong effort from various stakeholders, especially after the conflicts in the Balkans. There's a very strong effort from a number of stakeholders to develop technology and tools that would support solving that problem. That's where mechanical assets, mechanical machines were born and further developed. That's where the current test and evaluation protocols for metal detectors and for machines were developed. But since then, there was, to some extent, a break in this curve of interest, and there was much less investment and attention into technologies and tools for mine action, which led to a number of initiatives, and so created this empty space where everyone could try a different thing, but there's no standard way of assessing, a standard way of moving it forward. And that's also due to this, that in 2023, GICHD decided to take the step to establish a dedicated research and innovation program, which didn't exist at GICHD before. And two, there were initiatives around innovation, but there was not a structured programmatic way of thinking about it. This is to address this issue. So I think in a nutshell, standards, the international mine action standards are extremely important. They are the tool that can help us unlock these challenges. Yes, there is work to do in terms of the testing and evaluation elements of it, both from technology specific and also from an application of the existing standards.
Thanks a lot, Pedro, for the information and explanation. And if anybody has some other question, they can send it to us, and then we send it to you as well, so we can set up this network. And I hope for the other sessions, Pedro will be involved and send the feedback to you. We're working together on that as well. Michelle.
Yeah, I'm sorry, we might have missed some questions, but we are running out of time. So if you do have those questions, feel free to email us, and we'll definitely post this video recording as well. So you'll have this as a resource, and then of course there's the resources that were shared by Pedro earlier today. But thank you everyone for joining us today, and I hope that this was a very informative webinar. And I'd like to thank the speakers, Pedro and Mickey. Thank you so much. And to our organizers, Francesco, Ali, Shahab. You guys can jump in.
Thank you so much from my side, Shahab, Ali, Michelle, and Francesco. And I hope that we can enlarge our existing network with the support of York University and CIFAL, and bring more brains to more brain power to work on mine action challenges. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thanks you, Pedro and Mickey, and we're looking forward for the next session and your participation and feedback as well.
Yes, thank you everyone. Just a couple of quick announcements. First, thank you everyone for the great presentation, Pedro and Mickey. That was fantastic. Thank you to everyone in the audience for joining us and for asking questions. I did drop our CIFAL York information, so you could follow us on our YouTube, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, Instagram. And I also put my email in the chat. If anyone has any follow-up questions, please feel free to send me an email, and I'd be happy to pass them on to Pedro and Mickey. And also thank you, of course, Misha and Shahab, for helping us organize this session and the series, and for moderating today. And just as a quick reminder, this is going to be a monthly series from now until the end of 2026. So it will be, the next session will be on March 19th. We'll be having these the third Thursday of every month. So please mark that on your calendar. You'll always receive the reminder in your email, but if you could mark it on your calendar as well, and share it with anyone who might not have registered yet, that would be fantastic. And we look forward to seeing you all next month. So thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much,
everyone.
everyone.